This is NHK Newsline, I'm Kanako Sakno. In a remarkable moment for the history books, Donald Trump became the first president of the United States to walk across the border into North Korea on Sunday. According to Trump, the two countries have agreed to designate teams to work out details over denuclearization talks. Trump met North Korean leader Kim Jong-un at the truce village of Panmunjom in the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. With the world watching, Trump stepped across the line into the north, followed moments later by Kim when the two leaders crossed to the south.
I just want to say that this is my honor. I didn't really expect it. We were in Japan for the G20. We came over and I said, hey, I'm over here. I want to call Chairman Kim. And we got to meet, and stepping across that line was a great honor. A lot of progress has been made.
President Trump is the first U.S. president to enter my country by crossing the demarcation line. Don't take this superficially. The president has made a brave decision to put the bad past behind us and to open up a bright future.
This third face-to-face between the two leaders was seemingly a spur-of-the-moment offer by Trump in a tweet on Saturday. Trump and Kim sat down at Freedom House on the South Korean side. They both spoke about the significance of the meeting going forward for their relationship.
When I put out the social media notification, if he didn't show up, the press was going to make me look very bad. So you made us both look good, and I appreciate it. But we've developed a great relationship. I really think that if you go back 2.5 years and you look at what was going on prior to my becoming president, it was a very, very bad situation, a very dangerous situation for South Korea, for North Korea, for the world. And I think the relationship that we've developed has meant so much to so many people. And it's just an honor to be with you, and it was an honor that you asked me to step over that line, and I was proud to step over the line. I thought you might do that. I wasn't sure, but I was ready to do it, and I want to thank you. It's been great. It's been great.
Some people have been saying President Trump planned this meeting, as I have received letters from him. I was really astonished yesterday morning when he said he'd like to meet me, and I received the official offer the same day. If our relationship wasn't this great, today's meeting would never have happened at all. I believe the relationship will become a mystical force that will overcome the difficulties and problems.
일들의 맞닿는 그런 난관과 장애를 견인하는 극복하는 그런 신비로운 그런 힘으로 될 거라고 확신합니다.
Trump used the meeting to invite Kim to the White House. It's not known yet if Kim will accept the invitation. Sunday's historical moment comes months after Trump and Kim failed to reach an agreement on the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula at their second summit in Hanoi in February. After the meeting ended, President Trump revealed their next steps.
Thank you very much. We just had a very, very good meeting with Chairman Kim, and we've agreed that we're each going to designate a team, and the team will try and work out some details. And again, speed is not the object. We want to see if we can do a really comprehensive, good deal. Nobody knows how things turn out, but certainly this was a great day. This was a very legendary, very historic day. Quick notice. Nobody saw this coming, and it was great that he was able to react so quickly and that we were all able to react so quickly. But in speaking with President Moon, oftentimes he was saying this is historic, just the meeting is historic, and I think there's something to that. It'll be even more historic if something comes of it, something very important. But a lot has already come of it. What's going to happen is over the next 2 or 3 weeks, the teams are going to start working to see whether or not they can do something.
Earlier, Gene Ortani spoke to NHK World's Yoshiyuki Aoki for more analysis. Aoki's a former Seoul correspondent and has been following this issue closely.
What's your take on today's situation in Panmunjom?
It's just surprising that one tweet is behind a moment that nobody could have predicted would happen just a few days ago. And Trump crossing the demarcation line has become another historic scene in the Korean Peninsula. But it's not just a photo op, there's a real substance here. Former US presidents have visited the DMZ, but those trips were used to highlight the alliance with the South. And this time, Trump is using his visit to showcase his good relationship with Kim and to stress that it is his diplomacy that made it happen. And it's also a message to Pyongyang while the denuclearization talks remain stalled. The North says the deadline for a dialogue is the end of this year. So the UN may have used this third meeting as a way to discourage the North from any provocative action. And as to why the North may have agreed to such a short notice trip, Kim strongly believes that the only solution will come from him and Trump, and it also may have flattered his ego to have the world's most powerful leader to reaching out him on his Twitter.
I guess we also want to know this. What does this mean for the stalled denuclearization talks?
Yes, as we just heard from Trump say that now the two sides will set up teams to push forward the talks. But Trump has repeatedly said he doesn't want to rush this. And one thing is evident, though. This visit wasn't just about optics. Trump and Kim both spoke of their mutual respect and regard for one another. They've come a long way from exchange of insults at the beginning of Trump's term. And it's clear that the two leaders are the ones who can move the talks forward and that they both appear to want that.
Weather officials in Japan are warning that heavy rain could cause landslides and flooding in low-lying areas across the country. The meteorological agency says warm, damp air blowing into the seasonal rain front is destabilizing atmospheric conditions in central, western and southwestern Japan. Kumamoto Prefecture in the southwest had over 250 millimeters of rain in 24 hours. Rain is expected to intensify from Sunday night into Monday morning in Kyushu and parts of western Japan. Some areas could see up to 50 millimeters of rainfall per hour. Officials have issued evacuation advisories for more than 220,000 people in Kumamoto and Ehime prefectures. Weather officials say the front will linger and bring heavy rainfall, mainly to Kyushu, until midweek. Japan's withdrawal from the International Whaling Commission has gone into effect. The country will resume commercial whaling on Monday for the first time in 3 decades. Japan announced its intention to leave the organisation last December, saying commercial whaling was no longer possible under the group's rules. It officially withdrew on Sunday. Whaling ships across the country are preparing to set sail on Monday. Japan says hunting will only be conducted within its territorial waters and exclusive economic zones, and will be limited to minke whales and other species with healthy populations. Restaurants in Japan are hoping the resumption will kickstart an appetite for the animal.
Whale contains twice as much protein as beef and half the fat of a chicken breast.
Tani also says he hopes the return of whale to the menu will convince younger people and women to try it out.
Save the whales! Save the whales! Save the whales!
But the news has led to protests outside of the country. Activists in London marched to the Japanese embassy and demanded the government abandon the resumption of commercial whaling.
I don't understand why Japan is doing this. I think there's no major domestic market for whale meat.
Japan isn't the world's only whaling country. Both Norway and Iceland conduct commercial whaling and say they'll continue to do so while remaining in the IWC. Those were the stories for this hour. That wraps up this edition of NHK Newsline. I'm Kaneko Sakno in Tokyo. Thanks very much for joining us.